And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the service box. It's going to take me a while to get used to this. If you're just joining us, welcome. And we're here to talk a little bit about the LPRT and what's going on in the current situation, and then kind of have a discussion about all things racquetball. So obviously my name's Tim. TJ is the top right, the commissioner of the LPRT, and Josey. You just went dark, Jay. What just happened? There we go. Josey handles all of the IT and services, and we kind of all have a few different responsibilities. So while you guys are logging in and sharing and everything, thanks so much for doing that. TJ, can you just kind of give us a little update about the LPRT? And we're in a weird situation right now.
We are absolutely in new territory right now. A lot of these players that are at home trying to stay fit and keep training because at this point we don't know when we're going to be back on the court. We had our event in San Antonio in April, a very popular event, get canceled. And right now we're just kind of crossing our fingers to see what happens in the upcoming weeks. We have a very big Grand Slam event in in Kansas that everybody was really looking forward to. And, we have to make the decision in the next week or two to decide whether that event happens this season or we wait it out. At this point, as we all are sitting at home waiting for the world to open back up again, and that's kind of what we have to do, just wait.
But I guess part of this as well is looking into the next season. I mean, we're assuming we can get going in the fall. I mean, it's going to be a very, very busy fall season for us.
Yeah, looking forward to that. We have quite a few return events and a couple of new ones on the horizon. Sounds like we're going to Arizona with the IRT in October, a couple weeks after the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open, of course, assuming that all these events happen as usual. San Luis Potosí, Mexico again. We hope to be in Virginia Beach again. If for some reason we can't get Kansas to happen in June, then maybe we move that to our fall schedule. So it'll be busy. Again, this is really unknown times right now. We just really don't know what to expect at this point.
Well, if you have questions for TJ, myself, or apparently I think Momo Zalata down there on the bottom, Jay, is that you? Karen says hi, Momo. So that's Jay, tell us a little bit about what you do, because a lot of people may not know who you are because they don't see you on camera, but you're at every tournament and you're a vital part of the LPRT.
Yeah, so I've been traveling with the LPRT for like 3 years now. Well, over 3 years. Started in November 2016. And so I do everything tech related, everything stream related, everything you can think of. Lately, especially, things have gotten so complex with the stream that, now that, we specifically, you're part of this now, because it just kind of grew to a place where, it's more than just one person can handle. And, we kind of got we've been pioneering some things with the stream, and we sort of got the dream team going on these days. And, basically things catch on fire a lot, and I put those fires out and figure stuff out tech wise. And that's what I do.
Yeah, I don't know that you're supposed to say that things catch fire a lot. I mean, it runs perfectly, right, TJ?
As long as I don't touch anything technical or touch the computers, we're good.
So in terms of doing some innovative stuff, Jay, can you give some examples of stuff that we've tried to do this season? And admittedly, not everything works, but some of it's been pretty cool.
Yeah, so we're taking the stream where a lot of people in the sport believe it needs to go. Things like replays, just better quality and all that kind of thing. But we're also starting to take it into some areas where aesthetically, kind of like our vision of what the stream should look like. I mean, our graphics, our overlays, the mechanics in which our replays are encapsulated in, and things like that. I mean, we're really focusing on making it look unique, look like we put some time into it, some effort into it. And, so not only going where, most people think we should go, we're trying to, pave our own path here too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to go back, and it was Karen. She knows that you're Jay, by the way. She was saying hi to Momo in the chat box. So hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us. We got our first question. I think, TJ, this is one for you as a former pro player yourself. What I'm curious about is the women seem to high five, shake hands, etc. after each game much more often than the men. Is there a particular reason why?
It's a great question. If you have been to an event, if you've attended an event, hosted an event, you will see that the women players, they're very social. They really get along off the court. There's a lot of respect, even though they're fierce competitors on the court. Once they're off court, they're all friends. They hang out. They're social. They socialize with the fans. So I mean, they know that they're all out to win. They're all out to be their best, play their best. But after the match, I mean, truly, they are all good friends. So yeah, I mean, that's my best answer for that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see the fact that they're really trying to win on the court, and then get off the court not too happy, but then a couple hours later, kind of calm down, and everything's a little bit more friendly than maybe it was when they were competing. One of the next question again, TJ, you got to answer this because oh, sorry, here we go. Herb Garcia, hi TJ, huge fan of racquetball and Paola and all the players. Will the LPRT be in LA in the foreseeable future?
Herb, we would love to come back to Los Angeles. We were there 4 or 5 years ago and loved it. I mean, the players, that's a place that the players will love to go. It's a matter of what you can do in your local area or your local club to bring the tour there. I mean, what it boils down to is just prize money for us. If the money's there, we'll be there. I mean, we can run the entire tournament if needed. We just need sponsor dollars to bring in the event.
Let me jump on and ask Jay, what has been your most favorite tournament stop so far? Because you've been doing it for 3 years.
Man. Okay, so this is tough, but it's a story I tell a lot. So I met TJ through my mentor Russ Bruns, who is the president of South Carolina Racquetball before I assumed that position. And TJ was in a tough spot back in November 2016, and through Russ, she knew that I knew racquetball, and I knew how to use a freaking computer. So so TJ called me. I mean, we barely knew each other, and she was like, "Hey, can you go to Monterrey, Mexico, and stream this event for me?" And I'm like, "Okay, well, when?" And she's like, "Well, like 10 days." And I'm like, "All right, well, I'll figure that out." So actually, my passport had just expired, and I drove through the night to Atlanta to the regional passport office there to to get it. And so basically, I got there like 9 in the morning when they opened, and by the time they closed at night for a $250 fee, they had my passport ready, and I was able to get the tickets and go. But that was a really unique event because it was just me and Adrian that were there kind of taking care of everything. TJ wasn't able to go, and some other LPRT personnel had just quit. So it was my first time in Mexico. I didn't know a lick of Spanish at the time, and I was having a battle.
Still don't, Jay. You still don't.
Yeah, hey, look, all right. But anyway, back to the story.
Anyway.
So I had to battle with the TV network, that was there. And they didn't want me to have any space. I kept setting stuff up. They kept taking it down, and finally some of the players started to show up, and they started translating, and they served as being like the muscle for me and muscled the TV station out of the way, and I finally got things set up. But it worked out, and ever since then, it's been a good time. But that's probably the most memorable one. But we've had awesome times, of course.
That was your most memorable one.
Yeah, it was crazy, but we've had some good times too. That. All of us.
Oh yeah, we wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to a harder question in a minute, but another question. Sean says, "Have you guys ever come to the Philadelphia area? or any plans to do so?
I would throw that out as the same with the LA question. I'm a Pennsylvania. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I'm a Penn Stater. I would love to come to Philly anytime. I don't know what club availability is there, but Sean, we would certainly love to be in that area. The last time we were in Pennsylvania was in York, PA, right near Hershey. But yeah, again, for us, it boils down to prize money, or at least somebody in the area willing to help us raise some money, some prize money to bring the tour in. But absolutely, we would love to come back. We'd love to come to Philly.
All right, so Andrew is a local here in Tallahassee, and of course likes to poke the bear a little bit. So Andrew, really, you gotta do this, right? He said there's constant There's constant fan chatter about merging the IRT and LPRT. Have there been any discussions, and what are the pros cons to this from the LPRT perspective?
Yeah, I've seen that question a lot. And I would tell you that the events that we have had as dual events with the IRT have really been promising. We've had some amazing mixed doubles events that have really been very popular, brought in a lot of excitement to both tours. And I get from a business standpoint, there's certainly some reasons why that might be a good idea, just logistically why. There's a lot of shared things that could happen between both tours. On the other side of that, I've been a player. I've been involved on the administration side of the LPRT for a long time now. And I will tell you that even historically too, when the tours were merged, the women just are better by themselves. I mean, to be quite honest, the women have the spotlight when they are on their own. With women's sport of any kind, with women's soccer, with women's tennis, who had to battle so long and so hard to fight for equal prize money. It's just a better spotlight for the ladies when they're doing their own thing. Could that change in the future? Potentially. I mean, I'm not opposed to conversations. It just would really have to be the right group of people, and really wanting to be fair to the ladies, the professional ladies. They deserve it. They're true professionals.
Well, we got Fran Davis watching, and we know she's a big supporter of the LPRT. So I want to say hi to Coach Fran and thanks. And Fran, check out your Instagram post for today, because I responded to that little comment. Fill in the what are they thinking? So Margot, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Margot is a board member of the LPRT. The LPRT has a board of directors, and Margot is one of those. She said, you've got great commentary for all the tour stops. Is there any particular training or research you do to prepare for each broadcast? Yes and no. Thanks to Todd Boss, Pro Racquetball Stats, we do a lot of statistics, or we try to, on the matchups and things, and we can't do that without his data. So trying to find those data to support what we're talking about is useful. One of the things that I do is go back and watch some of the matches that I've done commentary for, because I'm looking for words that maybe I overuse. And I once remember somebody commented in the box that they were going to, take a shot for every time I said this word. And I was like, okay, I probably say that a little too much. So I apologize for the person who got inebriated that tournament. So I do that, and I've looked at going to conferences as well on commentary. It's interesting. I've not found one. I have a friend who's a broadcaster for the SEC and ACC networks, and they actually get evaluated on their commentary by somebody else external who writes a report on their commentary. And so I've been able to see what they look for. And so it's just that continual progression of, how do I get better? If I'm an athlete, I want to improve. So I'm a commentator. I want to get better. I want to be more eloquent and describe what's going on better. So it's not perfect, make mistakes, but do our best. and she follows it with drama. Yeah, I love drama. I think TJ does too, commentating. I mean, I love it, right? As a fan, we want the drama. As a tour commissioner, TJ, maybe not so much. But there's me nudging Jay like, oh, we got to get that on replay. Because there's some drama there, so I love it. Okay, Jim Durham, new U.S. coach. Congratulations, Jim. Jay, I'm going to ask this of you. Who do you, or he says all, but who do you all see as the most compelling matchups to watch?
Like for me, particularly like some of these like great world-class players that don't attend, like that don't maybe play the tour full time. You know, Gabby out of Guatemala, Montse out of Mexico. I mean, anytime that players like that go up against one of the top 3 or 4 players, I mean that's what I really like to see. Yeah,
but come on, be like if you've got a matchup, I'm gonna like who?
Of course, Gabby Martinez, Paolo Longoria.
Gabby and Montse is always a classic. That's always a good match.
Oh yeah.
TJ, what about you?
2 versus 3, Salas and Vargas. I mean, Vargas and Salas. I mean, that's always a good battle. They're so close. They're just so intense, and they have such respect for each other. I love to see that matchup. That's one of my favorites.
For me, I love the round of 16s because that's that you can see the upsets and anybody can beat anybody. I mean, yes, you've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds who usually kind of advance to the quarters, but outside of that, you get some unusual styles and mix-ups, and the seeds change a lot, and it makes it really interesting to see who kind of comes through that and gets to the quarterfinals. Todd Boss, we just gave him some love. He says 3 games versus 5 games. What have you seen change in the tour since moving to the 3-game format this season? That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I'll tell you, I was probably one that, I mean, for the good of racquetball, I understood why our board, our players were kind of mixed on that decision, but our board decided that it was best to go to 3 games. There are times when I look back at the Open Bolivia matchup last year in the finals. Again, Vargas Salas went 5 games, and it was incredibly exciting. So I can't lie, I will miss a little bit of that. As far as from a commissioner standpoint and tournament director standpoint, it does help the pace and flow scheduling wise for a tournament. And truly, I see the value in having racquetball the same scoring across the board. It just makes sense.
Yeah, and speaking of the pace, like all 3 of us are involved in the stream. When we get there on the ground, and ever since the conversion to the 2 out of 3 versus the 5 games, I mean it's still extremely difficult, but I mean it has been easier to make a quality production, and it's been less demanding. I mean, we're still zapped by the end of the day, but it sucks that we do lose like some of those incredibly epic best out of 5 games where they have to like crawl off the court after they're done. But I mean, really though, for the flow and our ability to like make a better production, the pace, the flow, like you just said, I mean it's definitely all pros.
Well, and I think also part of that going to 3 is it keeps everything a little bit more time managed, right? So we don't get backed up way into the night. And yeah, as a fan, that's great. I get to watch racquetball all day. But for the people who are behind the scenes trying to see this happen, I mean, it gets pretty insane. And if you start thinking about, well, how do we make this beyond streaming to TV rights to Olympic Channel or something like that? You need to be you need to be very structured for that kind of environment. And so I think the 3 games certainly helps that. More drama, less drama. I don't know. Okay, moving on. Todd, I'm going to come back to you in a second. We've got Evan from FSU. He says, how are you guys practicing racquetball without access to a court? It's a fair question.
Fair question. And I would say if you're following the players they're all on Instagram. You can follow along and watch what they're doing off court. A lot of it is fitness at this point. if you're lucky enough to have access even to an outdoor court, which I think is a big part of the future of racquetball, outdoor racquetball, 1-wall, 3-wall, anything, just to be able to hit, to swing. If you don't have a court, just to swing, practice your swings. You know, I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't playing much racquetball, but I used to take a tennis ball and hit it against the garage door. So I think the players, again, this is such a unique time for the world. So people are trying to make the best of it, hoping that we're all not stuck at home for too long. You know, just staying positive and thinking the best. But fitness is definitely a big part of these players' routines.
I think it's going to be really interesting. Sorry to interrupt. To see, like, look, you know, if we can get to the Kansas City, the Root.com Classic, it's fantastic. It's $60,000, which is insane. I mean, it's more money than the U.S. Open, men and women combined. So
Extremely generous of TeamRoot.com, Randy
Right.
Root in Kansas. He's just a huge supporter of the women's tour. So,
but if we don't get to do that in this summer, we've got literally about 3 months where we've got no racquetball, and it's going to be fascinating, assuming we can come back in August, to see who's really put in the work over those 3 months, because it's 3 months to either get better or to kind of slack off and have a good time. And I think it could change the whole season. It could change a lot of players to have that time to really put it in. I'm kind of excited to see how that kind of transforms players. Okay, let me go back to Jay. How is the technical setup you go through on the LPRT versus what the IRT does, assuming you know what the IRT does, Jay? And what would you like to incorporate into the LPRT broadcast if you had the time or money? That's a good question.
Yeah, so yeah, I do know what the IRT has, because we actually combined equipment at the U.S. Open.
Oh, that's right.
And yeah, and I've got a pretty good relationship with Pablo and the rest of them. And so technically, you know, they do have some better hardware in some areas. You know, they have things that are actually 100% built to, you know, to do this kind of stuff with their. I think he's still using kind of a TriCaster or whatnot. And, you know, we don't have anything like quite on that level, but you know, we're really utilizing you know, what we have, and we're maxing it out, and, you know, we are progressing at a really good pace, and we feel like we're really pioneering, you know, how it looks aesthetically, and, you know, maxing out, you know, what technology we actually have. I mean, you know, we put a lot of time and effort into, you know, the graphics, the overlays, and things like that. But we really truly are that the ladies tour is truly maximizing, you know, what we have invested into the tour so far. And, you know, if we did have a big influx of money where we could, you know, where we could get some, you know, get some things like that, I mean, you know, the sky's the limit. I mean, anything that's placed in front of us, I mean, we'll use it to the best we can.
Well, I mean, this is a good opportunity, TJ, to talk a little bit about sponsorships, right? And the fact that this kind of money, even small amounts of money, can make a big difference in production and kind of what we can do.
it's always a good time to talk about sponsorships. Yeah. I mean, really, if you've ever considered getting involved with the women's tour or men's tour too, there are sponsorships and partnerships available from small to large. It doesn't take a lot, but enough people just investing their time, their money into the LPRT is anything is helpful. If you have a business, we have opportunities for advertising, commercials, spots on our courts. Really, we can cater to what you are looking for your business. So definitely opportunity if you're looking to be a part of the LPRT, investor or sponsor. You can reach out to me, TJ, at lprtour.com, lprtour.com, and that's it. I'm happy to work with you on any possibilities.
I was just adding that in there. That's TJ's. I'm just making sure I spelled it right. That's TJ's email address. So if you're interested in sponsoring in some way, reach out to her. Okay, next question. By the way, if you have questions, keep them coming. And this one's again from Todd. Question for Tim. Do you try to be the play-by-play guy, or do you try to be the color guy? Do you find yourself holding back on color just to make sure the match is called properly? I think it depends on who I have as a guest or who's with me. For example, TJ and I have we've been doing it a little while together. Although I know TJ, you're quite happy to kind of do the commissioner thing and allow me to do my thing, especially if we have somebody who can step in. Normally, we'll have somebody come in who I kind of give the analyst role to, and I'm cautious about doing too much color. One, because you just can't survive. I mean, we do. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 6 matches on. Six matches on Friday, 6 matches on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got 14 matches that you have to cover. And if you look at an ESPN or whatever, they're doing 1, and we're doing all of these, and it takes a lot out of you to be focused and concentrate. So I try not to get too much into the color, because I'll run out of voice. I just can't do it. So, and I also kind of look at tennis as well, where they try to, if they can, not talk over the actual hitting of the points, and only kind of talk in between. In racquetball, though, with only 10 seconds, sometimes you go over into the actual match, whereas in tennis, they tend to take a little bit longer. I think they have 20 seconds, right? 20 seconds in tennis? I'm pretty sure.
Sounds good.
We'll go with that. So that's kind of my thinking. I think the hardest part is doing it by yourself. And that's it's really hard. It's really hard because you've got no energy next to you to feed off of. So I'm always trying to find somebody who I think would be a good fit for the way I do it. And it's been great. I know you guys have seen this, having some of the former LPRT players coming back and doing commentary, and Adams being one of them, and Laura Fenton, right? In
Greenville, Lynn Adams in Chicago.
Yeah, so it was fantastic to have them on and get their insight, and then it really does allow me to kind of do the other part of it and kind of keep the commentary going. So next question. Sean says, what would you all say to some sort of exhibition tournament that was more mixed, including doubles and even singles? Does mixed singles even exist? I think it would be really interesting, and maybe it would draw in some other people who wouldn't otherwise think about going to a racquetball event. So kind of like a Vargas versus a De La Rosa or something like that.
Yeah, in exhibition, we had an exhibition just for the LPRT in Portland in December. With hopes to hopefully that will turn into a tier 1 event. I mean, as far as racquetball goes, I'm all about something creative, something different, something to get the interest of fans, something that fans want to see. Yeah, why not? I mean, let's try it. Let's promote the sport. So yeah, sure. At this point, we just want to get out and play racquetball at any event would be nice.
Well, if you have a question, post it in your chat box. I just saw Jay yawn, so he's obviously looking for. We all saw it, Jay. We all saw it. He's looking for something. So pick on him. He and I are roommates, so I have to be careful, right, Jay? So anyway, TJ, talk a little bit about kind of a synopsis of the tour this year, because I've only been involved since I started a little bit before August, but really became full-time in August. What has been kind of your highlights for this season?
So I start with Paola Longoria. I mean, #1 player for now 10 seasons. She's an amazing athlete, and I said coming back to the tour after the holiday break, I truly feel like Paola has a new level. I mean, she's already great, but I asked her at our last event in Boston, I said, Paula, you seem to have a whole another level that you're playing at right now. She just seemed to be untouchable. And she said, yeah, I'm training more quality than quantity. And that seems to have made the difference for her. It's just really amazing. To me, she's really set the bar for women's racquetball. I mean, all these young players who aspire to be like her or be able to be her, compete with her. Just the level on tour has been amazing. As Tim, you said earlier, the round of 16 is just so competitive. We have great round of 32 matches. And then if you get to an event like the US Open that has qualifiers, these young players coming up and just surprising everybody, it's just really neat to see. So it would be nice to see some of these the junior players and see how they fare on tour when they can play full time. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Players like Muncie Mejia and Gabby Martinez, as you mentioned earlier, Jay. Just a lot of talent out there, mostly from Mexico and South America, mostly.
Jay, you and I probably see the most direct matches because we're always on the court, always facing it. Are there any, like, maybe one or two players who you think have the potential to kind of really make a big splash that you've seen? Maybe not every tournament because they can't come, but
yeah, so we just talked a lot about the South American and Mexican players and stuff, and I said about Gabby and Monse. I mean, they, of course, I mean, everybody knows they can make a splash. But there are actually a couple of American players right now that have started to play the tour more. I mean, Kaylani's playing full time, and she's playing super tough. I mean, so many times over the last couple of tournaments, I mean, she's been down, and somehow comes back, wins in a tiebreaker. I mean, she's one of the toughest players out there, and the same thing with Holly. I mean, she's playing more towards full time now, and and she's doing really well. So I mean, it seems like there's a trend now with some of the American women, which I think is a good thing. But we all know the Gabbies and the Monses and stuff out there down in Mexico, South America.
Yeah, I would add in maybe Valeria Centellas.
Right. Yeah.
Come on the tour this year, and all of a sudden is beating kind of touring pros, and is kind of like, okay, she's going to be around, and she's going to be a force to reckon with. And the other one I've only seen, I think, at one tournament, maybe two, is Daniela Rico, who's still 16, 17?
15 and 16.
15, 16, and has that kind of opportunity to really, I think, make a splash again. I mean, when you're that young, that who knows which way you're going to go, up or down. Okay, Andrew has another one. TJ, I think this one's for you. Jay, I got a question for you in a minute, but can you delve into how you partner with local tournament directors in putting on an LPRT event, between helping put together prize money, planning logistics, requirements, limitations by the tour, and so on?
Another good question. So at this point in the LPRT's career, we've kind of experienced a lot of different things. Some tournament directors, like Jeff Peters in Chicago, he's done it a million times. He knows how to run an event. He's very good at it. Doesn't need a lot of assistance. They raise a lot of money, and basically we show up and we're a part of the event, and we're happy to be there. On the other side of things, we've been to an event now, like our Florida event this year, this past January, where it was very new to us. So we showed up. We brought Tracy Valentine, who was a tournament director in Maryland. We brought her with us, and we basically ran the whole event. We ran the amateurs, we ran the pro side of things, and it worked too. So there's certainly a lot of options. Like any racquetball organization, money is the hardest part. It sounds easy to go out and get a giant sponsor. It's not. Sometimes it takes a lot of little sponsors, but whatever works. We're happy to work with any local tournament director to make an event happen. Definitely.
One of the challenges is, well, not challenges, but things that we do as well is bring all the equipment with us too. And Jay can attest to the fact this is not a small amount of equipment.
Yeah.
We're wrapping everything up for FedEx at the end of the tournament, trying to get it back. Jay, my question is, if and I want to go back to what was asked before, but if you could get anything to improve the broadcast, what would it be?
Well, I mean, right now, the first things that I'd get, we had this one main camera that is, our highest quality camera, and I'd at least get 2 more to match that. And, that'd help a lot with the transitions, when we're actually, streaming and it's live and, we're going from one angle to the other, things will look a lot more seamless. And then, and not only that, it would save us a whole lot of time in terms of setting things up, because you can almost mirror the settings on each of them. I guess depending on lighting, you have to be a little bit different, but it would definitely make things a whole lot easier. But other than that, I mean, like, we really maximize how we do this, like with manpower, like with just the 3 of us. I mean, at some point, it would be really great to have have another person there, doing some things, adding some value. But equipment wise, I'd say just the cameras right now.
Just to give a perspective of cost, what is a ballpark if somebody said, hey, I want to cover the cameras?
And this is important. So anybody interested in streaming, the biggest mistake that people make when they purchase cameras for streaming things like what we're doing is they go out and they buy a full featured, video cinema camera, that has all these features for recording, things to SD and all that kind of stuff. I mean, with what we're doing, like, none of that is important at all. I mean, we use these Black Magic cameras now that are basically studio cameras that, that we just rip the video output off of, and it doesn't have all the fancy features that a cinema camera was. And you actually, you save a lot of money that way. I mean, they're still expensive. They're between $800 and $1,200 a pop, and then you have to buy another lens, and depending on where we're positioned, that could be anywhere from another $300 to $700. So maybe worst case scenario, $2,000 per camera. But yeah.
So I just posted the question to all you watching. What angle would you like to see streamed? We typically have an angle on the back left and a back right, in the middle somewhere. Sometimes we can get the crowd depending on the club environment and things. So I'm curious to see what you all think. Where would you like? And
Tim, with me and you, there's particular angles that that we like, that we've learned, like, if we have the opportunity to have that angle, like, we'll definitely have it. But the one thing that we run into venue by venue, I mean, all of these venues are drastically different, and it's impossible to reproduce like all the angles exactly the way that we had them, like at a tournament before, tournament after, or whatever. I mean, and some venues are like really great to stream from. I mean, they have some great we can add like some awesome luxury angles and things. But I mean, some are just flat out terrible. I mean, like, just how it's set up, like, logistically, and the lighting and everything. But yeah, I mean, I am interested to see what the community thinks, but it just sort of depends on the venue as to what we're able to do.
Well, I got another question. I got another question for you, Jay, and it's Lalo. He says,
Nice.
Lalo, Jay, when are we going to play Fortnite?
Well,
or Warzone?
Now we'll probably do Call of Duty, but now is probably a really good time. I mean, I can't make up any excuses now, since
you're working LPRT.
Since I have to stay inside, and there are no LPRT tournaments. So yeah, just we'll figure that out.
Okay.
I mean, I think you 2 guys should play with us too. I mean, Warzone's free download. I know, Tim, your computer's good enough. I mean, TJ, you might have to go to the Best Buy curbside service.
Is it available on the Wii?
We might have a problem with that. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can give you some remote assistance.
I'm all about some Mario Kart, but other than that, I don't know.
Let me go back to earlier and a Todd Boss question. Keep the questions coming, by the way. 2 finalists from the 18 and unders last November, Barrios and Centellas. If they were playing on the tour for full time, how would they stack up against the tour veterans?
You know, it's, I mean, Centeus right now is playing a little bit on tour and she's had some upsets. Barrios had a really good event in her home country of Bolivia at the Open Bolivia last spring. Um, to me, as with any player, it's about the more time they have on tour, the more experience they have, the more the more opportunities, the better they get. I mean, you have to play at that level. You have to be in those experiences to get better at it. It's like anything. I mean, any practice, you have to be in that situation. And I just think both of those players are so talented. The more they could play on tour and face these top players, they'll just get better and better. I'd love to see both of them.
Yeah, Centeas, if memory serves me, and Todd, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but she took a game off Paola at the in Colombia last year at the Pan Ams, and got to the semis in Davie, right? TJ, didn't Centeas get to the semifinal
in Florida? Yes.
Yeah, and clearly shows that she can play with anybody. Barrios doesn't play very often. The only notable, I guess, marquee wins were back in the Bolivia Open. And didn't she beat Ronda? Isn't that the tournament she beat Ronda?
Yes.
So, showing that she can definitely play with the best of them. It's just a case of how, like you said, consistent they can get on tour and get that match experience. Jay, question for you. I think, is there a way for local businesses to write or run your live stream on their websites?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So we stream to YouTube also along with Facebook, and the YouTube player can be embedded on any website. So I mean, there are definitely ways to do anything like that.
Okay.
Sometimes at a local club, you put the stream on the local television in the club.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, depend. And again, a lot of this has to do with how the venue's set. I mean, thankfully the last couple times, we've had a pretty cool venue where they have TVs present and stuff. I mean, we bring a lot of stuff like that with us, but it's always cool when they have like a 70-inch TV attached to the wall. And usually we'll pipe out like the pre-internet stream to to one of those TVs, so they're getting it, the action like as it's happening, not with the delay after it goes to the internet, and so other people in the club can watch. And we've also put it on like the hyper signs before, and on on the venue's Facebook pages, things like that. I mean, so there's tons of ways that we can add value like that.
Sean has a question. In terms of sheer dominance, it doesn't seem like there's an equal to Paola or Kane in their respective tours. Whenever Paola stops playing full-time, who do you think might be the next Paola? Is she already playing? Will there ever be another one to dominate like she is? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. In the time that I have played and have been involved with the tour, Paola is the best player I have seen play. She really has something. She works so hard at her game. I think the sky's the limit. We mentioned so many talented players coming up. To me, it depends on how much time do they want to put into it? How much are they willing to work for it? I mean, no doubt Paula has a full team of people. She's got Coach Fran Davis. She's got a sports psychologist. She has a trainer. And, those things are available to her if they're available to some of these other players and they're willing to work for it. Potentially, sure. Yeah, she's definitely setting the bar, and I hope so. I hope to see some other players, up and coming players, strive to be as good or better than Paola.
And I would add to that you can't assume that nobody will ever be better than Paola, because how long are we going to keep playing racquetball? Decades, hopefully, maybe longer, hopefully. And so why couldn't somebody else? She did, right? I'm sure there were people saying that, nobody's ever going to be more successful than Michelle Gould back in the 90s. And look where we are, 2 decades later. And Paola is beating those records. So there's no reason why somebody can't come along and be the next one. Who that is, I don't know. Jay, this is Lala wants you to speak in Spanish, if you will.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Oh my God.
Is that right?
Oh my God.
Listen, I found, like, in Lalo's hometown, I actually found the library. So I was pretty pumped about that. But the one thing that that is kind of discouraged me a little bit about this whole thing is that, us, the three of us, we obviously took Spanish in school, and one of the first things you learn is, hey, donde está la biblioteca, or some other weird thing. But and we know that, like we can say that to each other like it's a joke. Like, I can say that and it's funny to you guys. But if I say that to a Spanish speaking person, like I'm trying to make a joke, like that's all the Spanish I know, they just look at me like I'm weird, because, they have no idea that's the first thing they teach, in an American school about learning how to speak Spanish. So I've had to learn that the hard way. Had some weird looks and stuff, but the moral of the story is, like, if you keep looking, you will eventually find these libraries in these cities that these cities that you go to. So you just got to say it enough.
Better answer was, I'm practicing and I'm learning to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
JP, our friend JP says, do you have any long-term goals that you're currently working on to grow the tour?
I mean, to me, I look at a few things based on schedule alone. There's some countries I'd like the tour to play in that we haven't been to yet. We haven't been to the West Coast in a while. Again, somebody mentioned earlier Los Angeles. I'd love to get back on the West Coast. And just exposing more people to the sport of racquetball. Just as many opportunities as we can. There's been a few events in Mexico where it was free to the public. It's in a public park, and just to see the number of people that got to stop by and just watch for free and come in because they knew Paola. Just that exposure for racquetball to me is so important for the sport. So having more opportunities like that as well is another goal. It takes money, unfortunately, which is the challenge for all of us, of course. But definitely, yeah. I don't know. You guys should answer that as well, Tim and Jay.
Jay?
What was the question again? Did I seriously put it back up there?
In English or Spanish?
No, listen, I was listening to TJ. All right, what was it? Long-term goals. All right, JP, great question, JP. I'm glad you're watching this, by the way. And the Ladies Professional Racquetball Tour definitely owes you a jacket, JP. So, at some point, once the world opens back up again, I'll make sure to get that to you. And so anyway, me personally, I think about all aspects of the tour. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself, and everything from the business side to the streaming side. I mean, obviously I care about, but I'm more involved, with the tech and streaming side. And my goal is just to eventually produce, this product that people look at, and the average person, like on the street, they look at this product and they're like, wow, okay, cool. And they ask questions, like, what is this? I mean, that's a really nice production they have going on. That seems like a cool sport. And I mean, that's just my personal goal. Like, my personal long-term goal is to get, like, the stream to that kind of point.
Yeah, from my perspective, I want to see the ability to, reward the players for what they're doing. Right? I mean, just we see so many of them just kind of scraping by just to be able to play this sport, and we shouldn't be in that kind of situation. And so I look at it from how do we become more professional so that we can be more marketable to more companies and more sponsors, so that we can generate more money to really support what these players are trying to do and make it a career choice rather than I'd like to, but. And I think it's so hard to see these players, struggling to get to tournaments because they just can't afford it. And And that's hard. Or, if I don't get to the quarterfinals, I'm going to lose money in this tournament. I mean, that's so much pressure on players to perform, rather than I don't have to worry about my financial situation. I can just play. And I really want to see that happen. And I think we'd get better matches too, because I sometimes really see it in the players and the way they play. They play tight because there's so much at stake for them. So that's kind of what I'd like to see. There was a question from Jim Durham. It was a good one as well. And has YouTube provided the LPRT with a revenue stream? The answer to that is it's coming. This is something that we're actually working on right now with the downtime that we have. And so if you've been on to the LPRT YouTube channel in the last 3 days, you'll see that the YouTube channel is now organized by playlist based on tournament. And so you can go back to Jay, when do we start 2017?
Yeah.
2017, we've got matches all the way through organized by event. So you should be able to see that organized now. And now we're building in the revenue stream into those matches and adding the descriptions. And so we're really trying to improve the quality of that production so that we can generate some revenue from YouTube. And, if you're not familiar, every time a video plays on YouTube and you skip it, the LPRT doesn't really get anything. But if it watches through, there's going to be money generated, even if it's just a little bit, a little amount. It goes to the LPRT. So I actually joked with my wife yesterday, and just like when we leave the house and we got leave the TV on for our dog, let's put it on the LPRT channel and just put it on a playlist. Let's generate some revenue for the LPRT while we're out. But seriously, I mean, little things like that, they build up over time, and they allow us to do a little thing, maybe buy a camera or something like that. So a good question, Jim. And we're always looking for ways to kind of find new revenue avenues. And I mean, it's hard. It's a competitive market. JP says, great answers. Hope to see the tour return soon. Yeah, same to you, JP. Hope to see you at one of our events. Thanks also for your contributions as well. Okay. Do you have any more questions, everybody? Because this is as many as I'm seeing. So unless you have any other questions, I want to kind of ask TJ and Jay, in terms of, a lot of people don't necessarily see the back end of a tournament. And TJ, give me like what a Friday looks for you when you get to a tournament. Because I really don't think most people have any idea. I know I wouldn't, unless I was at an LPRT event. I have no idea what you do. So give us an idea of what Friday would look like for you.
I'm the commissioner. I'm also the president of the board of directors for the LPRT. A lot of the work that happens for the LPRT events happens before we even get to an event. I work with the local tournament directors. I develop the schedule for the LPRT, and then, once the schedule's done, once the amateurs are scheduled as well, Friday typically for a tier 1 event is our busiest day. We start round of 32s in the morning, our round of 16 doubles, usually mid-afternoon. Then we're back again 2-3 p.m. and we're just back to back. Friday's usually pretty exhausting. We tend to stream 6 matches, and with doubles quarters Friday night, and we come back at it quarters on Saturday morning. So Friday's always a busy day, but it's a lot of matches. If you're a fan of racquetball, it's a good day to watch.
And Jay, same to you. Kind of what does your day look like?
So you mean like Friday, like when we first get there, or like Friday when nothing's set up? Because there's two different things here. Like, so when I first get there, when I first get to the venue, sometimes, like for instance, this Boston one, I got there like Wednesday. So I was in the club on Wednesday and early on Thursday morning, and obviously I'm waiting on FedEx to deliver some things. I brought a ton of things with me on the plane, and you meet all the staff. I mean, at this time in Boston, like, I mean, everybody was super happy to see us. It was one of the most receptive, arrivals that I've ever been a part of. It was awesome. And, they offered a lot of help, and, basically I just go in there and, look around the venue, figure out where maybe some things should go, where we're going to set up, and just coordinate with the tournament director and start setting up what I can. And, eventually, one of you guys gets there, and we, all kind of band together and finish getting everything started. But then, 10 a.m. rolls around Friday morning, and, we sit down in front of that computer and, watch a couple things, test a couple things. And then the second round rolls around, and that's game time. We got to fire everything up and make sure everything's going. And we're basically in those same spots for like the next 48 hours. And I mean, that will zap some energy from you. I mean, like nothing else. So, yeah.
I don't disagree. So next question, Sean, again, is there a max number of players that can sign up for an event? I think the answer is no.
No.
Okay.
At least on the pro side, some amateur events have a limit due to just the number of courts they have available.
Right. And then a follow-up, Jay, when you set up all your equipment, are you allowed to leave it up at the end of the day, or do you have to redo it every day?
Okay, so it sort of depends on the venue. Now, some venues are super secure, like, we're the last people to leave, and they assure us that nobody else is going to be in there. Or maybe they'll give us like a secure room to put some stuff in. Like in Boston, we were able just to leave the stuff up because it was like a locally owned type club. We were the last people out, first people in type of thing. And there wasn't anybody sketchy in there during the night, a cleanup crew or anything. I mean, it was all fine. And, every now and then some of these places, we have to take the stuff down. There are some venues around the world where every night we have to take the stuff down, and every morning we have to put it up, and then, that kind of sucks. But most of the time, we can either kind of get away with half taking stuff down or just leaving it up. Most of the places are pretty secure, thankfully.
Yeah, and I'll also say that almost every day or almost every tournament, there's been something that happened that just kind of blew up behind the scenes. I mean, every tournament, we take something down on Friday and it worked perfectly. We put it up on Saturday and something doesn't work. And I think the arguably the quote unquote funniest one now is in Chicago, is when you had vMix, our software, and it stopped working because they said our license ran out, and it didn't. And you couldn't get in touch with them because they were in Australia and everyone was asleep.
Yeah.
And so that was, now we can look back at that, but at the time, Jay was a little stressed.
Yeah, I mean, I reinstalled Windows like on a different partition and just reinstalled vMix with the 60-day trial, so we could have some access until they woke up. So I mean, it's just like spur of the moment, like crazy fix. So we're often having to do things like that. I mean, it's just, you'd be surprised. I mean, it's not because like the quality of our equipment or the quality of the people that work in our organization or anything, but I mean,
Thanks, Jay.
No, it's. I mean, like crazy stuff like this happens all the time. And, thankfully we have a team that when things like that happen, people don't freak out. We figure out a solution. We're a solution-based team, and, we get it done.
People don't freak out. All right, moving on. JP, what are things that you've been doing different from past tours?
Well, I would say, streaming in general is something new. When I was a player, I don't remember always having streaming available. And I would also say the other thing would be doubles. When I played full time regularly, doubles wasn't really introduced to maybe 2015, something like that, which has been a really good addition. It's an exciting event to watch, really different from singles. So those are the two major things: the stream, which I think good for racquetball, and doubles.
Dick has one says you should do short interviews with the players that can be run during the intermissions. I think it's a great idea. there's some practicality associated with that in terms of, when do we do the interviews and cut them and all that. It's time consuming. And once, as Jay kind of mentioned, once we get to a tournament, I mean, it's literally go for, 12, 14 hours on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday, we've got to finish the finals, pack up, and try and get to a flight before the end of the day. And so it's the time is definitely an issue there.
Good suggestion, though.
It is. It's a good idea for sure.
Yeah,
So-
and one thing, like Tim said, we're always trying to stay sharp and better our crafts and everything. And during this time where we're all kind of stuck here at home, I mean, the fact that we're bringing this interview system right here, this platform to you is just, I mean, we're further honing our skills here. I mean, this is something that that Tim thought of, and we're all kind of working together to do this. So I mean, even just honing our skills on something like this will help us get to that goal of maybe putting those interviews in between matches or games or things like that. I mean, that's something that we've always talked about, but when we get there to on the ground, I mean, it's just the time just leaves. I mean, for three people, it's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things like that are in the pipeline for us to add. And as soon as we get to like a baseline for where we want the stream to be, then you'll see us start to add a lot of those luxury items like that.
Yeah, and to give perspective, if we get there on Friday or Saturday morning and start our match, the next match comes on in 15 minutes. And so it's not like, there's a lot of time to do anything. It's a case of, I got to go to the bathroom. I need to refill my drink. Where, do we have the line judges and the referee ready? Have the players gotten here? TJ, you can attest to this. So, and it's like that pretty much back to back throughout the day, because even if we're not streaming, there's still maybe matches going on that either TJ or I have to be involved in, or Jay's trying to put out a tech fire or something like that. So they do go on quite a bit. I want to point this one out. I think it's a good segue. Michael Long, during this break, have you thought about interviewing players and posting it either on YouTube or a website or social media? TJ, your turn.
Well, that's a very good question, Michael. Hi, Michael. We actually this is our first run at this live chat, but we are all prepared to do a series of these chats every Thursday night at 9 o'clock. And next week, Rhonda Racich is going to be first up on our agenda. She'll be live with some exciting news that she wants to share for the first time with everybody. So next week, same time, and Rhonda Racich will join us. So each week we'll get some different players and even a group of players on here so you can meet them and ask them questions.
Yeah, and so if you guys, if there's anyone in particular you want to bring on and we can chat with, let us know. And TJ will reach out to them and see if maybe they'll come on and we can have a conversation with them and you guys can interact with them. So yeah, we want to use this time that we have to really change what we're doing. I mean, we can't be on courts, we can't be watching racquetball, but hey, let's get to know the players a little bit and ask them some good questions and things. Jordan Walters has one. Jordan says, have you ever considered having local players at the open level who are certified referees to referee to take the burden off players? No other sport has played refs. And then he clarified, player refs. And then Rod said, as long as they speak English.
Jordan, Jordan, you know that I've actually asked you to ref quite a few times at our events. So yeah, the answer to that is yes. We definitely look for qualified referees to help out, especially with our first round on Friday morning. So definitely, Jordan, I know you have ref for us and we appreciate that. I know you support the LPRT a lot too. So thank you. But yeah, the answer to that is yes. Any event that we go to, if there's somebody certified refs or open players, we're looking for help.
What she's saying is you're welcome to come to any event that we go to, Jordan. So just
but not to ref, just to watch.
Yeah. But I mean, but Jordan, Jordan brings up a good point here. He's specifically talking about taking the burden off of players, and Jordan actually knows a lot about the plight of a lot of the players. Tim, said a lot of players struggle. Hey, I've got to make it to the round of 16s to make money and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot asked of these players. There's a lot of pressure on these players, and Jordan understands that. We all understand that. We want to try to do anything we can to make it better for our players.
Lee is coming in from YouTube, and he says, besides RYDF, what methods of donations does the LPRT have for individuals to donate via company sponsorship?
Reaching Your Dream supports the players. Reaching Your Dream is a nonprofit, and that goes directly to help players come and play the tours. If you're looking for a nonprofit donation, the tour is we're not a nonprofit. We offer advertising and just general support. So if that's something you're interested in, again, you can reach out to me, TJ at LPRTOUR.com. There's a lot of opportunities for you as a business for, again, commercials and just advertising. So,
and I think the goal of what we're trying to do is provide a return on investment. And a lot of times in racquetball, I've seen companies kind of sponsoring a tour with the understanding that it's really a donation. And I know, TJ, you would agree with me on this. That's not what we want. We want to be able to provide a platform that benefits the organization or company with a return on investment. And we've really worked hard on that this year. Not only Jay with the streaming and even just the little cool graphics at the beginning of the match, right? I remember at the US Open when Jay first came up with the players up on the screen, right, with their rackets looking fierce and stuff. I mean, that was awesome. We won't talk about the little 100 Jay when Paolo won, but we're really trying to improve it and really make it professional so that companies do have a return on investment and we can kind of reach more people. And we've seen, for example, Facebook double in the number of followers we have from August to now from when we first started Facebook. I mean, we've literally doubled our numbers since August so we're growing. We're definitely more visible. We can reach more people, and we want to keep doing that. Okay, I think we've kind of crossed the hour mark, and so if there's no more questions, just a reminder, TJ Ronda's coming next week. Did you say something about like an announcement?
Yes, an announcement. Yep, she has an announcement to make live. She's going to do it on the air. So,
but we don't know what it is, by the way. We have no idea. So
stay tuned.
So we're LPRT will be back next Thursday, same time, 9 p.m. EDT, just to clarify. And
it's tricky.
It's tricky. I mean, I got it wrong. And so be sure to tune in then. And if you have requests for people who you want to see on the stream and so on, and somebody just said, is there a schedule? We're just going to run this every Thursday at 9. Every Thursday, and our goal is to have 1, 2, 3 players on so that we can interview them and you guys can chat with them, and I think it'd be fun to have a few different players on at once and get some different perspectives.
Right, and Tim, so this is not going to be something that just goes on during the the pandemic. I mean, this is going to be something we continue from now till the end of time, I'm assuming.
Dave,
yeah,
a little bit. The Dave,
absolutely.
Hey, I'll be here till the end of time.
That's right. Yeah. Hey man, we're making 30 cents off everybody's YouTube play now, so we can afford to do this. So it's fine. We got this.
And then the next question was, if we miss it, can we rerun at a later time? Yeah, this is gonna be. We're gonna keep it on Facebook, so you should be able to go back and watch it on Facebook. And then I'm gonna create a playlist in YouTube for all of these little interviews, so that you can go back and watch those as well. So if you have questions for myself, Jay, or TJ, be sure to reach out to us. And of course, as I mentioned before, here's TJ's email address if you're interested in knowing more about the tour. But I think we're done, right, guys? Anything else to add?
Thank you for everybody who tuned in, who's watching, and all of you. I mean, we have quite a few supporters online here. Todd Boss, Pro Racquetball Stats. Again, I can't thank you enough for all that you do for racquetball. JP Edwards, thank you again for helping us commentate a few events. We hope to have you back again soon. So, and everybody else as well. Appreciate you tuning in, supporting the ladies in the ladies tour.
Jay, final thoughts on wisdom?
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I know it sucks not being able to play racquetball right now, but you know we got to do this, and hopefully we can generate some content for you. And you know, like we've said this entire time, you know, we're not falling asleep here, even though I may be yawning a little bit. We're still working on honing our skills and getting better. So when we do return, hopefully sooner than later, you know, things will be better than they ever have been.
And just a reminder, if you have ideas of things you'd like to see implemented in the tour, and whatever they may be, let us know, because we're all interested in kind of improving the tour and want to make it better. And so if you've got some great idea that we don't know about, I mean, even just the streaming platform, it was kind of, I stumbled on it by accident because I didn't know about it, and it's turned out pretty good, right, guys?
Oh yeah.
So on behalf of myself and TJ and Jay, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in a week.
Thank you, guys.